Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our tea and chat. Now, at the end of our chats, I say one of my late mum's favourite sayings, you only live once. And it got me asking myself as to what memory embodied what she meant by it. So today, I thought I'd share, if it's all right with you, one of our one of my favourite memories. And it's a story about my mum and dad. Because let's go back to May 2006. It was the month of my mum's 80th birthday. And both she and my dad were relying on wheelchairs to get around. It got to that stage in life, unfortunately. And my husband and I decided to take them to Luxor in Egypt, of all places. And why there, you might ask? Well, Mum had always wanted to see Egypt. And when she was younger, her uncle, who she adored, had told her that if she ever went, she should travel with a blood relative or she'd have bad luck. And it sounded rather dramatic, to be honest. But it was a little family story that had always stayed with her and she believed it. So we went. Anyway. Now, if you've ever travelled with one wheelchair, you'll know it takes a bit of planning. Travelling with two wheelchairs, four suitcases, hand luggage, and two elderly parents who still wanted to see the world, well, that was an adventure before we'd even left the airport. Do you know, when I thought back, I could still picture us now. It must have looked really funny. Like, I was pushing my dad in his wheelchair, who was pushing my mum in her wheelchair. So we had a convoy of wheelchairs, whilst my husband pushed all the luggage, and there was a lot of it on a trolley. Oh, goodness me. And we were weaving our way through the airport. What a sight we must have been. But we did it. You know, we managed it. Anyway, for me, it's never really about logistics. It's about making memories while we could. You can pretty much do most things, can't you? You just got to figure it out. By 2006, I knew my parents weren't getting any younger. Their world had become much smaller than it once had, and I'm sure you can relate to that. And I wanted to make sure it didn't become so small that they stopped having adventures altogether. Little did I know that one of those adventures would become one of my favourite memories of all time, and I'd be telling you about it today. Anyway, pretty soon after we arrived, my husband and I decided to go up in a hot air balloon ourselves. Have you ever been to Luxor? Yeah, I haven't been there since 2007, but you could go up in a hot air balloon. It wasn't terribly expensive in those days, and so we went. We watched the sunrise over the Valley of the Kings. It's magical. If you've never experienced it before, it's worth going. It's magical. And we floated silently over the landscape. And I remember thinking, Mum and Dad would absolutely love this. So we landed and I started asking questions. Was there any way two people in wheelchairs could safely experience this too? Anyway, back at the pilot's office, I could see all of his qualifications displayed on the wall, and he explained that he was fully licensed and experienced in taking passengers with limited mobility. He didn't promise anything. He didn't try and sell us anything, actually. Instead, he said, I'd like to come to your hotel this evening and meet your mum and dad first. It gave me confidence. He wasn't just taking the money and that was that. He wasn't prepared to take any chances. That's how he came across. So that evening, he arrived at the hotel and explained that before he could agree to take them, because they really wanted to do it, my mum especially, he needed to know that they could both stand and walk a few steps if necessary. Anyway, Dad stood up first, no problem at all. Then it was Mum's turn, and she, by this stage, was a little bit frailer. But, oh my goodness, I can still remember the determination on her face. Once Mum had decided she was going up in that balloon, there wasn't going to be anything that would stop her. So she did it. She managed to do the walk and basically, he was happy with it. The next morning, before the sun had even thought about coming up, we were up and ready, sense of excitement. Mum was very determined. Dad was quietly looking forward to it in his own special way. And I remember thinking, I really hope this works. We arrived at the balloon sites, and just as the burners were roaring into life. Have you ever had a hot air balloon trip? I've been lucky enough to be on about 5 now. I absolutely love it. And you can see, like, as the balloons are inflated, it's quite a sight. The flames shoot high in the air, and the balloon, it just slowly starts to come alive. Then came the part I hadn't really thought about. How on earth were we going to get Mum and Dad into the basket? But the pilot and his team had done this before. Carefully, they lifted Mum into the basket first and then Dad. Everything was done gently without rushing and a lot of respect for both of them. And finally, with the wheelchairs, we were ready for takeoff. Well, almost. The balloon gently lifted off the ground and the pilot realised something. Mum and Dad couldn't actually see over the edge of the basket. They were too low down. They could feel the balloon rising and they could see the burners, but they couldn't see the incredible view that we'd all come to experience. So he did something I'll never forget. He radioed the ground team and gently brought the balloon back down again to where he had agreed to meet the ground team. They brought some sturdy wooden blocks, put them under the wheelchairs, secured everything, and then he took off again. So they were higher up. Everybody was safe. Everybody was happy. Mum and Dad could see everything. Do you know, I'll never, ever forget looking across at Mum. There's a photograph. I might try and share it with you on this tea and chat if it's all right with you. She was looking up at the flames with the biggest smile on her face. And she looked like an excited little girl again. And in that moment, she wasn't thinking about getting older. She wasn't thinking about the wheelchairs. She was simply enjoying the adventure. And that's exactly how I still remember her. As we drifted across the sky, the whole world slowed down. Magical silence. Beautiful. The roar of the burners. I kept looking across at Mum and Dad, taking it all in, the temples, the River Nile, the tiny fields below. And then I'd catch Mum smiling to herself. It was one of those moments when you don't need to say very much. You just know everyone is thinking the same thing. And when we finally landed, as gently as you could possibly imagine, the pilot presented Mum and Dad with certificates to say they'd flown in a hot air balloon. I still look back, I've still got the photographs of them holding the certificates. And they're a reminder that adventure doesn't have an age limit. Sometimes it just needs a little more planning and a little more determination. And sometimes it simply needs someone to say, let's see if there's a way to make this happen. Don't assume someone can't do something, because sometimes they just need someone who believes they can. And looking back now, I'm grateful we didn't keep putting things off until next year, because sometimes there isn't a next year. And the memories we create with people we love become the greatest treasure we could ever own. And this trip to Egypt was only about 2 years before my mum passed away. We went back again with them in 2007. And looking back, I realised what a privilege it was. Not just to take Mum and Dad to Egypt, but to help them keep making memories, and equally important, to share those experiences with them. Now, I know that as our parents get older, there comes a point for some when travelling or big adventures simply aren't possible anymore. But before we decide something can't be done, perhaps it's worth asking, is there another way? Because sometimes there is. It takes a little bit more patience, a little bit more support from family and friends. But when I look back, I don't remember the effort. I don't remember pushing wheelchairs through the airports or manoeuvring the luggage, to be honest. But I remember Mum's face, and I remember Dad's smile. And I remember how privileged I was to share those moments with them. Truly was. So I'd love to know, what's the one memory you've created with your mum, your dad, a grandparent, someone you love that still makes you smile today? Or perhaps there's something you've wanted to do together, but you've been putting off till next year. If there is, maybe this is a reminder not to wait. Go and make that memory, because one day it might become one of your greatest treasures too. Anyway, I'm going to look out some of those photographs, and if I can share them, I'll share them. And that's my story for today. And if you'd like to join me for more tea and chats, I'll be here Wednesdays and Sundays. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Be very much appreciated. I'll see you next time for some tea and chat. And remember, as my mum would say, you only live once. Bye for now.